Hey, and welcome to my studio again. I am gonna continue on with my little creature series I feel like I'm on. And today we're gonna do a snake. And I'm using Kraze Lush one stroke right there, which has a lovely gradient from a nice yellow to lime green to medium green to a dark green. And I'm using a 3/4 inch Blazin brush. It's a flat brush. And I'm gonna get a nice load here, and this little snake is gonna have a little bit of a cartoony feel to him. I always start with the head because I feel like once I have my head placement, everything else sort of just falls in line. And all right, I'm gonna lead with a light color because then it's gonna feel like the light is hitting from this side. He's gonna have big snout. Kind of just getting a, it's gonna be his jaw. This is his nose. Okay. And then with this snake, instead of doing everything rounded, we're gonna work with straight brush strokes. And that's gonna help us give this character kind of a little bit of a edgy, cartoony feel. You'll see what I mean. Once we start with the line work, it will all kind of come together. I'm gonna think about how this snake is slithering across the ground, doing just some nice angled strokes. They can overlap a little bit because that just means the snake is all curled up and crawling across the ground. So make sure I keep that darker end up. And as I come to the sort of the end of the tail, I want to start to taper things off a little bit. So I'm using my brush a little bit more on an angle. And the very tippity tail right there. All right, that's gonna be our snaky guy. Next, I'm using a round number 4, and that's gonna be to put in the eyes and a highlight. Just loading my brush here. My cake is really dry, so I need to work that paint up to a nice creamy consistency. So it's not too runny, but I want a nice load here, so it's gonna take me a minute. Okay, so right here, it's gonna be teardrop, nice fat teardrop there. It's this other eye, see? Let's do a little bit on the tip of his nose. This is gonna be a nostril. Give him a little bit of a highlight on the top of his head. And then give the belly a little bit of a, just in places, not all over. Just where I feel like maybe there would be a little bit of, I'm just building the contrast really. Might wanna soften those a little bit. highlight along the back. Basically just emphasizing the movement of the snake right there. All right. Next is to give this guy a little bit of an outline. Have him come to life. I typically start on the eyes, but those eyes are still wet. But you can take a sponge and tap. Okay. Let's see. This is the fun part. This is where I get to give him his expression, so I can make him. Because I did these teardrops here, he already has a little bit of an angry eye, so I'm gonna go with that. But you, depending on how you angle those teardrops, you could make him happy, sad, surprised, tired. There we go. And when you're doing this kind of outline, if you avoid making everything round and kind of just give the edges a little bit of sharpness, you get a really nice feel, and it just feels a little bit more refined in my opinion. So plus it makes it so that you can kind of do that thin to thick dancing with the paintbrush. And I'm gonna, in these curves here, I want to play with these angles, so come in, make things overlap a little bit. And I can kind of wiggle my paintbrush around because it's a snake, so he's, you know, slithering all over the place. There can be a lot of movement in these lines. See how you get that feel? Let's see. And I can put in pupils, and depending on where I put these pupils, you know, we can kind of focus his eye a little bit. So I might have him looking that way. There we go. So let's see, what else can we do that's fun with this guy? I'm gonna give him a tongue. And I'm just gonna use some red. Nice bright red. Same thing with the tongue. You can have fun with those lines. Give them a little bit of attitude. So this is totally fine. Cool, cute snake, but I'm gonna give him a little bit more detail by adding an outline. And lately I'm really enjoying outlining with teal. I'm gonna use Fab Teal right there. It's one of my absolute favorite colors. If you look at my paintings, they always have teal. Teal, teal, teal. It's just, I call it my heart color. Everybody has a heart color. Mine is teal. Okay. And I went back to a number 4 round so I can get a nice fat outline on this guy. I'm not gonna outline the tongue. That goes into my hairline a little bit, so won't mess with that too much. Into the eyebrow. I guess I'm gonna have a teal eyebrow today. And before I forget, I'm gonna put in highlight into the eye to really emphasize his expression. There we go. In addition to this, let's see. I like, especially with this sort of cartoony guy, it's really fun to add a little bit of stencils to break up that outline. So I just have a gradient stencil I'm going to put right there. And this is also a really good way to give your design a little bit more oomph without having to, you know, paint a lot more. Like if I wanted to continue this design and make it a little bit bigger, if I were to just put in a little bit of stenciling right here, you know, I'm tying this whole thing together a little bit more. Let's see. Let's do a couple of stars up here, which I think works well because he is so cartoony. Okay, I think he is looking pretty fabulous. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.